Hey guys, it's Chris. We're back on K97.5. It's 12:07, 7 after the hour, and the weather is dark. And in honor of Winds of Winter, we have some Avenged Sevenfold, Hail to the King in the North. Hey guys, it's Chris. I'm back with James from Daily Use of Sports Trivia for this week's Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 10, The Winds of Winter Q&A. So we're going to get through some questions, and I'm sure a lot of Season 7 speculation, but I want to quickly shout out a friend named David, who's apparently a big fan. I got contacted by Lindsay. So David, hello. Thanks for watching SmokeScreen. Glad you're a big fan. So let's get to some questions.
Question is from a patron named Demetrius M.
Thanks, sir.
It says, new Q&A. Jaime had a look somewhere between fear, anger, and confusion when he rolled up to King's Landing. Same when he witnessed Cersei's coronation. Popular sentiment is that he will be in a position to have to take her out. Do you subscribe to this thought, and what do you think his arc will be?
I do. I think this is actually setting that up. I think, you saw the look on his face.
He's weird.
He was obviously all those things. Confused, pissed off. He probably had just found out that Tommen was dead due to the set being blown to hell. And yeah, he's mad. He's pissed off. So this is going to set up that arc, I believe, where he's going to be the one that I've been saying for, months now, to take out Cersei. History repeating itself. Now he's going to be the Queen Slayer at some point. Obviously, that's not going to be probably till season 8 because we got the contract extensions from the actors. So it's definitely going to set that up. And the thing is right now, that's all she's got. Potentially Euron. So she's kind of in a corner, even though she's now queen. She's not really queen of the Seven Kingdoms because the North's all unified under the Starks. Dany's got the rest of the big houses as far as the show goes. She really has nobody. She thinks she has the Lannister army right now, but I don't think she's going to have it for long. So yeah. I think that's going to be the big drama there. So yeah, I definitely subscribe to them. They're going on the breakup path.
I hate that though. I mean, because there's so many other people who need to kill her.
Yes, Arya's a possibility, of course. Being that she's back in Westeros, so that's certainly a possibility. I would not rule that out at all because I think she goes on a little dark path too, and even though, because she should find out relatively quickly what's going on in the North. I mean, it's already probably known throughout the realm, right?
Yeah, I bet
Littlefinger's declared. Matter of fact, he said the Vale is declared for the North for all the realm to know. So Arya's back in the game now, so she should find out pretty quickly that Jon and Sansa are there at home at Winterfell, but she may choose to not go home first. So there may be a conflict there between her and Jaime. She did have a stare off with Jaime, as a matter of fact, which could have been a little foreshadowing.
Oh, shit.
Like, who's going to get to Cersei first, even though they don't both know they're going to kill her. Well, I guess Arya does. Yeah. But Jaime didn't know what was going on yet, but that might have been a little thing saying they're going to meet again at some point, maybe in King's Landing. So,
does she have beef with Jaime?
She only because he's a Lannister, but Jaime's never been like directly on her list. He didn't do anything directly involved with the Red Wedding. It was Tywin, so she has specific people. So Jaime was not on her list. So otherwise, she would have probably taken him out there too.
Next question, another patron here, Gregor McGinley. Q&A.
Thanks, sir.
I like this question a lot, so I'm interested to hear what you say. Q&A. Why did Jon Snow not get the Red Witch to bring back Rickon Stark? Now it's left up to the females to save the Stark line. Like once before?
Well, that's a good question. I've had a few people ask me that in the comments, and I think it's because we don't. First of all, Rickon's got to be out of the way for the story, so it's a little bit of plot magic there.
You're right.
But at the same time, we don't really know how that works as far as resurrection. Can she resurrect anybody? Is it just certain people? Because we see with Beric Dondarrion, he can be resurrected. He was 6 times by Thoros of Myr. Okay. But did Thoros ever try to resurrect anybody else? There's no hint of that at all. So Melisandre actually said that when she met with him, the Brotherhood Without Banners, in season 4, I believe, that she didn't think it was possible. And then, so then she had doubts in herself, obviously, when she resurrected Jon. She went there believing it wasn't going to happen until she said the magic words, please.
All right. I have to ask you a question.
That's one of those things we just don't know.
I have to ask you a question about her because I'm not caught up.
Right.
She had that demon baby.
Shadow baby, yep.
All right.
With Stannis. Stannis
That's what I was
helped.
going to say.
Yeah, that
Can
was his
she have
son.
a baby with anybody, or does it have to be powerful?
It supposedly has to be King's blood,
Okay.
which means Valyrian blood, or Targaryen blood for this story.
Okay.
Because Targaryen's descended from Valyria, so when she says King's blood, she may not even know that herself as far as the houses, but what she really means is Valyrian blood. She may or may not know that, because anybody can say I'm a king. You know, so anybody can be declared king or queen or what have you. That doesn't mean that they have Targaryen or Valyrian blood. So it has something to do with that blood.
Does that shadow baby still roam the earth now?
No, I don't think so. I think it's like a one-time thing. We've never heard of it again. And so I think it just does one job, so to speak. And I'm not sure what happens to it.
Because that's powerful.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the
that
way
could
Jon sent her off riding,
right.
She might have had the thoughts in her mind like, screw this bastard, I'll have another kid and he'll be gone. Nobody can defend that.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And there's been a lot of people saying, why didn't she just make another baby with Stannis to go kill this person and that person?
Oh, people have said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because when she was with Stannis, her excuse was, if you remember on the show, Stannis begged her before she left to go get Gendry. He said, I want to make another son. As into, could have taken care of Ramsay Bolton for that matter up in the north. Yeah. But she said, your fires burn low, my king. Oh. Like it would have killed him. And she said it would have killed you. It'll kill you. So it takes some of his soul as well, because the shadow actually looked like him.
I remember that now.
So that's implying that it's kind of a limited thing that can be used every once in a while, but it definitely has to have King's blood, which is Valyrian, and the Baratheons do have Targaryen blood.
And who's the other Red Witch?
Kinvara in the east, which we saw one time, and we hadn't seen her. We didn't see her going with Dany home.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Is she with Dany?
We didn't see her. So, I don't know if it was a one-time thing or she's on one of those boats with her. I mean, they were all preaching, all the Red Priests and Priestess were preaching for Dany in Essos. Mm-hmm. And so we don't know if anybody went with her or not. I would like to see that, though. I want to see her in her entourage, so to speak, just so at some point, if it ever happens, Melisandre and her can meet up when Dany and them do. Dany and Jon. And debate. Wait a minute. Like I said the other week, my boy came back to life. The Lord made him come back for something. Well, my girl, she's fireproof. What you talking about?
Pull out these checklists.
Yeah, so I want to see a cat fight between the Red Priestess.
I like that. Next question, patron James Gentleman.
Thanks, sir.
Hey, James and Chris. James, I put your name first because, well, duh. Q&A, maybe my roommate and I both missed something. We spent the entire episode wondering why the heck Lancel Lannister followed the little kid down into the sewer. I was thinking the same thing.
I agree.
Did he say or do something that made Lancel suspicious? As soon as Lancel saw him, he told the other sparrows to go get the others and then started following the little bird. That just seems weird to me, unless I missed something. No, I missed something too.
No, I don't think there's anything missed as far as I think it was just, the plot, the suspense build up. You had to have a feeling that he had a chance to stop that wildfire. I guess it's suspicious maybe that this their little kid running under the Sept of Baelor through the catacombs, I suppose.
No, I know.
So it was just for suspense. That's all it was. It was just simply plot.
Yeah, because
let's get him under here where he's got a chance to drag himself. All of a sudden he's paralyzed because he got this knife right in his spine.
Perfect spot.
Perfect spot to be paralyzed, and he had to drag himself, and he was almost there. And speaking of wildfire, we forgot to mention our wildfire here. We
are on a timer.
We're on a timer here this week, so whenever this goes out, this show's over. But yeah, it was basically for suspense, which it worked. I mean, it worked. If you kind of ignore that, why he would go down in the first place. But now,
like you said, the better question is, why was he going after Cersei by himself?
Exactly right. Him and a couple other guys are going to go back for Cersei, sure. So I guess in that case, a couple sparrows did survive. Maybe I don't know how far away they got. Maybe they didn't get far enough away, but they left and before the whole thing went up, so they probably wasn't out of the blast radius though.
Cool. Next question, patron Cat. Cat says,
thank you.
Q&A episode 10. Hi, Chris and James. So does Dany now officially give 0 fucks about Jorah? I felt that a 2-minute scene with him talking to Quaithe and her treating him with fire or something may have been enough to then show him standing with Dany and her team on the ship at the end.
Yeah, I wouldn't think she don't give a shit about him anymore. I mean, basically, she just told him to go get healed, and I think it's more of a setup for he's going to ride in at some point later and show up at just the right moment to do something before he goes out if he does in fact die. So yeah, I agree. They could have, thrown in something in there, like him meeting up with Quaithe. Like I said, maybe that's where he can get healed, or a red priest or priestess somewhere, kind of like in the books with Victarion. So I think it's just something to kind of push him off for a little bit, and then all of a sudden he's back at some point. One last, hoorah for his queen. So I think that's all that was about. Just not that she forgot about him, but we don't know where he went, and she was taken off with her fleet. So we just don't have a clue where he's at.
And I was asking you before why he couldn't just cut his arm off, and didn't you say it's in the bloodstream?
Yeah, it's in the bloodstream, because actually in the books it's a different person who gets it. It's John Connington in the books when Tyrion's on a boat with him and young Griff, which is another character cut, which is supposedly the real Aegon Targaryen. When John acquires grayscale, everybody else is checking themselves, and they have to check their fingers and toes because they turn black first, apparently. So it is in the blood, but touching the skin is something that actually spreads it as well. So it seems to be in the bloodstream.
Okay.
So cutting off the arm, Walking Dead style, won't get it. So, because I think he had probably done that first thing before it got too far up his arm, right? At least put a hook on his damn wrist, right?
Let's see here. Yeah, we got time for another one before this place blows sky high. Another patron, Longclaw11. Says,
thank you.
Chris, thank you for putting out such awesome content week after week this season. And James, you've become such a great addition to the channel. You are totally taking over and becoming everyone's favorite. No, I didn't.
Damn.
But he did say I'm a great addition.
I knew I should have recorded this shit myself.
Hats off to you guys. Q&A. Just wanted to get your thoughts on Arya's storyline going forward. Although she is still Arya and not no one, she's clearly not the same Arya anymore. She's become way darker and cold-blooded.
Right.
Do you think she reunites with the Brotherhood and the Hound? Could a likely meeting with Melisandre lead her back to Winterfell? Or is she just interested with the remaining names on her list? Thanks.
Yeah, I think a little bit of all that. So she's definitely going to a darker place. I do think that she will reunite with the Brotherhood, possibly the Hound. They had really good scenes together in season 5, which were some of my favorite. So I think that's definitely a possibility, probably a likelihood, as a matter of fact. They're all in the same area right now. And that may be something to where, the feeling I'm getting from it is she's going to go down this dark path, right? And she's going to be heading to King's Landing next, ignoring the fact that Sansa and Jon are back. Because we're not going to get this clean Stark reunion right now.
Right.
We got Jon and Sansa. We're not just going to have, Bran show up and Arya show up and everything's good again except for the whole White Walker thing coming. So that's not going to happen immediately. I have a feeling right now, if I had to make an early guess on what's going to happen, is she will be going down this dark path, straight revenge. She can sit there and cut somebody's throat and just laugh. I mean, that's a dark place.
You damn right.
So she's going to go down that path, and I got a feeling, actually, that the Hound's going to be one to bring her out of that. Because the Hound has been on this redemption arc, right? And now he's this new man. He did go out on his little bit of vengeance, right? And then sit down with Thoros and Beric and actually think, right, he's seriously thinking about joining them and going north because there's something bigger to fight for now.
Yeah.
So I think that he's going to be the one to say, you know what, kid, there's bigger things to worry about here, and get her off of that dark path. Because I don't think she'll stay there forever. I think she will end up back at Winterfell and meet Jon and Sansa at some point. It's not going to be quick and clean where she just goes immediately, shows up, and everybody's happy. So I think that is the path for her getting home. It's through the Hound and the Brotherhood as they head north.
He's the perfect guy to do that.
He's the perfect one. Because of their past, which I know you hadn't seen season 5 yet.
No, but I did see him kind of wig out on the
right. You did see that. You saw
Bay.
the beginning of that when he left King's Landing, fuck the king.
Yeah.
Right. And start going down that, and he went to Sansa's room, And, called her a little bird again.
Yeah, said, I won't hurt you, come with me, and all that stuff.
So he kind of started that there, and then when him and Arya got together, at first it was bad, but then it got really cool, and they kind of learned to respect each other and that type of thing. So she took the Hound off her list. She told the waif that, as a matter of fact, when she was still at the House of Black and White playing the game of Faces, she told a lie saying the Hound was on her list. The girl smacked her, and she said, okay, he was on my list, but I wanted him off. So she learned to like the Hound. So
cool.
I think that's where I see it going.
I do too. All right, our next question comes from JP7852. So JP, I'm guessing you were born July 8th, 1952.
Good guess.
I cracked the fucking code. All right, JP says, Q&A, how do you think Dany will react when she eventually finds out that R+L = J? Her whole thing is that she is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Do you think that she will support Jon's title to the throne?
I don't think Jon's going to be all worried about being the heir.
Really?
Yeah, I think, like he wanted to give Winterfell to Sansa as Lady of Winterfell, but he was declared King in the North.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't think with what's coming, he cares about ruling anyway. So it seems to be they're setting up this whole Jon-Dany alliance or marriage possibly. Of course, people were questioning that because now she's his aunt. We know that confirmed, but they don't know that. Mm-hmm. So I think originally George R. Martin wanted Arya and Jon to get married or fall in love or something once they found out, the truth about his parentage in his original draft of his manuscript or whatever. But I think there may be some conflict there. If he does care about it, he may just say, I don't care, even after he finds out who is Rhaegar's father. He may be like, I don't want to rule. We got bigger fish to fry. I don't know if there will be any conflict at all because I just don't think he cares about ruling.
And also, you had said before, maybe our last Q&A, that you kind of think the ruling is going to be restructured.
I think it is. Yeah, I mean, you see right now, obviously, the change with women and queens versus men and kings.
Yep.
So that's already something going on. I mean, this is all about change, and it's a feudalistic society right now. There's always going to be questions about who's the heir, because some people will say it's all the Targaryens because they were the original conquerors. But again, they took it, or right now, is it a Baratheon? Is it like a bastard Baratheon like Gendry or a cousin somewhere? Like right now, that's my biggest question is who would support Cersei? She just killed hundreds of people in the city and everybody's just there like, yeah, okay, she's cool. Which makes no sense to me in and of itself about why she's now on the throne. So, because you would think Tommen dies, right? There should be some kind of council, or somebody should be contacting any related Baratheons that they know of, even just cousins and not direct descendants of Robert. There's always going to be disagreements on the throne and who's supposed to be there.
Well, what about Bran being king beyond the wall or something like that? Is that possible?
Well, Bran is actually technically the heir to Winterfell right now. I mean, he is the Lord of Winterfell by rights if you go by the bloodlines.
If he crosses the wall.
So if he goes home and shows up there, which we'll see what happens with that, then Jon's been declared king already. Then he'll have to say, wait a minute, this is the rightful king because I'm still a bastard.
He probably would too.
Yeah, and he probably would do that, and that brings into question, Sansa and how dark she's going to go with Littlefinger for a while before she kind of turns back. Because I think there's going to be some conflict.
I do too.
Because she said that she seemed very happy for Jon when they were saying King in the North, but then she looked over at Littlefinger and he was like, "I told you," kind of like what they talked about in the Godswood. So there's going to be some conflict there, but I don't think that's going to go in some crazy place where they're all of a sudden enemies. Because Jon is all about one thing. Now that he's kind of been reborn in that last episode in Battle of the Bastards, he's got to refocus and get the North united, which they seem to be right now for the war to come. So I can see there being some conflict, and I can see it being very odd between them at first. But they did seem to hint who you're going to marry when Dario asked her that. I don't know, maybe not anybody, but who else does she have? I mean, literally in Westeros, in the show, I mean.
Yeah.
who are the eligible bachelors in Westeros right now? Nobody but Jon, really. There's maybe Robin, but that's not going to happen. So it seems to be heading that direction. So whether we see it or not, it remains to be seen. But yeah, I don't. It's just hard to tell because does Jon care even if they win the war and we see the aftermath of that? Will he care about being the king? Because I think it's going to be more of a either just women ruling and the rules are changed so it's somewhat advancement in society or this society, or again we've already seen the Iron Islands be declared a independent state or province or whatever you want to call it. So it may end up being some democratic thing where all 7 kingdoms are different again and there is a federal government, so to speak. So
I have to go off topic for just a second. The White Walker thing, I believe that they were asleep for 1,000 years or something like that.
Yeah, the legends go that
Is it possible that they could not be all killed out and just go into hibernation?
Yeah, I mean, and that may be exactly what happens.
And Bran then kind of stay up there like
the last Green Seer, right? And that's been a lot of questions. Like, okay, he heads back now. Does he just go home? No, he can't. He's got to have a role.
Too important.
He's got to have a role beyond this to keep it from happening again or something.
Right.
So what I think, my general thought about the end game here is that we just got the R+L J reveal. It's confirmed, no questions about it. So what does that mean? Okay, so is it just about a bastard or a guy who thought he was a bastard? And he may still be a bastard. We don't know that Lyanna and Rhaegar got married. I think we're running out of time.
Don't say that.
Running out of time, people. But anyway, so what does that mean for the story? Is it just about somebody who thinks he's a bastard and he grows up and he makes his way through life and he goes to the wall? He hates it at first, but he works his way up, becomes Lord Commander, and now all of a sudden, a couple years later, he's king in the North. Worked his way up through the world. It didn't really matter who his parents was. Is that what it's about, or is it about his blood?
Yeah.
So I think he is the key, whatever that means, whether that's some kind of sacrifice or what have you, as far as the bittersweet ending of this thing. It wouldn't really matter who his parents were if it was just about being a bastard who comes up in the world.
Right.
So his bloodline matters, being the Targaryen and a Stark. Just like Bloodraven, having Stark blood and Targaryen blood was an important character. So there's something there that makes his bloodline special. So he's going to be the key, and it may be another truce. It may not be this big war where we have White Walkers and dragons, where dragons just swoop in, kill all the White Walkers, all the Whites get burned to death, or probably just drop after the White Walkers are dead, and everything's good and everybody's happy and lives happily ever after. I don't think it's going to go down like that. I think it's going to repeat. We know that the original last hero found the children, learned how to fight the White Walkers, and fought them off and won somehow, but we don't know how that happened, but apparently it didn't kill them off.
And lastly, does Dany's ego allow her to marry Jon and he sit on the throne?
Right, yeah, I don't, right now, like if she had to choose like today, no.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Not right now, but
they have
I think
to meet and kind of...
Right, there's going to be a transition there from her coming over and her having the same thought process about the throne is mine because my father sat on the throne and his father sat on the throne all the way back to Aegon the Conqueror. It's going to be about that change where she comes over as a conqueror, taking what she thinks is rightfully hers in her own mind, and some people would agree with that and support it, sure, and they already have. It's going to be about that change in the ruling class, and then, of course, the real threat. She's got to learn about that whole thing anyway. So it may be one of those things where Jon and Dany have to go away because White Walkers are nuclear weapons, broken arrows, but dragons can be seen the same way. Although she has some control over them in the show, seems to be they're pretty tame at this point, but in the books it's a different story because we have some horns that potentially cause some problems with that. So,
man. Well, this question kind of bleeds right into this, Chris.
All right.
Natasha Farlow says, is Jon still a bastard if he has 2 highborn parents?
Yes.
He's still
a bastard unless they got married.
Okay, and who can vouch for that?
And the only person right now is Howland Reed that's alive in Bran. Bran sees it in a vision.
Yes.
Not Howland Reed as far as the marriage, just Howland Reed as far as the actual parents.
Cool.
But Bran can go and see if Lyanna and Rhaegar got married. You know, if they got married, and especially in a northern wedding, which wouldn't require a big, sept or a septum, they can go in front of a heart tree and get married in a northern wedding of the old gods.
Is that documented in that Citadel place that Sam went?
So yeah, the Citadel has so many. They're supposed to document everything. I mean, like everything literally in the world. Their whole goal. You saw the size of that library, that fucking Harry Potter library. It's everything in history that was ever written down that wasn't destroyed or whatever. But the Tower of Joy, I can't say there's going to be a record of his birth in there because that was a isolated thing. Nobody sent no maester was there to send a raven,
right?
And no maester was there to record that. Nobody survived it except for Wildfire and of course Howland Reed. And who's going to run off to the damn Citadel and say, "Oh, by the way, this kid was born by Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark." Write that shit down.
I liked your point with saying Sam might find it,
but if it's something there, if there's something is recorded somehow, however it got there, Sam can find that, and that's the other question: what is Sam's role? In season 7, because we know that Valyrian steel kills White Walkers. We know that Dragonglass kills White Walkers. So what is he there for? He's probably there to try to learn. His goal is to learn how they defeated him before. In the Long Night. So and I think that's maybe where he finds out the secret to what Jon needs to do, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It really
because
does.
He's just not a big deal now, right? We all knew he was Rhaegar and Lyanna's, but again, it's his blood. He's something special, magical. In other words, it's got to do something to cause them to go away, or some kind of truce, or destroy both sides, dragons and White Walkers.
Right.
Something
I could see the need to destroy the dragons too, and I hate to say that.
Right, and that might be part of the bittersweet ending. So George R. R. Martin, is all about nuclear proliferation, right? They all have to go away because they're evil, right? They're created out of vengeance and all that. They're the broken arrow, as I said before, but the dragons can be seen that way too. So,
plus we're talking about who's going to be the 3 to ride them. What if those 3 catch an arrow to the head? Now these dragons are loose and nobody else can control them like them.
And that's where a lot of people think Bran comes in, warding a dragon.
Oh,
if it's possible.
Shit.
But we don't know if that's possible or not. Of course, I mean, it's magic. Magic is plot armor. So.
All right, let's see. Tristan Williams.
Candle's getting low.
Oh, shit. Tristan Williams. Q&A. We saw Littlefinger say he pledged the Vale to House Stark. During Jon Snow's King of the North scene, the Knights of the Vale hailed him king along with the northern houses. My question is, will the Vale consider Jon their king like Riverrun declared Robb theirs? Is the Vale now part of the Northern Kingdom?
Well, not technically part of it. That was a question a lot of people had. Why would they even get up and salute him? Maybe they were just drunk and pumped up in the moment, but technically no. They're supporting House Stark, but they're not part of the Northern Kingdom. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
So Littlefinger's controlling the Vale right now through Robin, but they're still a part of a whole different kingdom. So they're there to support him. I guess you could say they're bannermen now of House Stark.
Who's the 10-year-old girl?
Lyanna Mormont. Yes.
Did you see that meme this week?
The one if she had 3 dragons, the story would be over in 3 episodes, 2 seasons, right? Yeah, that came out the first scene in episode was 8 or I guess 7 or 8.
When she was so hardcore. Oh, I didn't see it till like yesterday.
Yeah,
I laughed so hard.
It's so funny. She's awesome. She's a little whippersnapper.
You're damn right. Mr. Anderson says Q&A. James, you better read this time. Why did Dany didn't get pissed at Varys for spying on him, Robert Baratheon and others? Where she got pissed a lot on our lovely Captain Friendzone, Jorah Mormont.
Right.
Sorry, the question is not related to the episode, but it's confusing me.
Yeah, I think that we have to assume that they had a conversation off screen and that Varys was with her from the beginning. I don't think he actually sent anybody to kill her.
Right.
Because we saw from season 1 when Arya heard Illyrio and Varys in the crypts when she was down there with the dragon skull. They came through talking about, at the time, Viserys, when he was still alive. They supported a Targaryen restoration from the get-go. So he was never sending birds to kill Dany.
You're right.
So, now, did he send Jorah the pardon and all that? Maybe he had to protect himself at the same time. But I think like the wine merchant we saw that got drugged behind the horses, that Jorah, when he decided to turn cloak and finally join Dany for real, I don't know if that was under Varys' orders or not. That could have been other people involved, because they had people after them, especially in the books, after her entire life.
Okay.
So I don't think that Varys ever actually sent, because Ned, when he became protector of the realm, when Robert died, he said stop that order to kill her, because Robert changed his mind on his deathbed.
Yes.
And he said, sorry, my lord, those birds have flown. But I don't think they really flew. I don't think that order from the wine merchant came from Varys.
Gotcha.
Because he would have never killed the people he supported from the get-go before that ever happened. So.
Okay, this next question, I had to ask it. You know how we love witty humor?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
This one takes the cake.
I want to know what my official SmokeScreen troll is that I hadn't seen in a while.
Yeah.
I had a few of those that I've asked, because I love it was hate, but I loved it. It was funny.
Well, this is absolutely funny to me, and I would say it's the comment of the season.
Oh, okay.
And it comes from a guy named Kevin Wilson. Kevin Wilson says, Q&A, did you enjoy the scene where Daenerys gave Tyrion the hand job?
Yes, that was fucking awesome. I actually thought about that too. I thought...
I love it.
Oh man,
I
can see that.
It was a great scene.
It was a great scene.
He pulled humor from that, and it was such a touching scene.
It was.
That's awesome.
I actually thought about that, because he was looking at her with those puppy dog eyes, boy.
The hand job. Kevin, best question ever. It was a good scene, in my opinion. It was very touching, and when he bowed down to her,
you could see,
kneeled down or whatever.
You could see that, like, it was the first thing he ever really believed in. You know, he thought he was happy before his hand to the king, which he enjoyed that. He did enjoy the game and the politics and outsmarting people. He never really believed in Joffrey, hated his guts, hated his own family, basically. Killed his dad, and they hated him because he was a dwarf. And they blame babies in this society for killing their mothers during childbirth. So he was just like Jon Snow and just like Dany. So that's another one of those three heads of the dragon hints too. The fact that those three main characters, all three, died in childbirth of their mothers, is another secret Targaryen type of thing, or dragon rider.
Next question comes from Echoes of 11. So do you think the show will bring in Howland Reed next season? I always felt he was a huge missing piece, and it would be nice to see a conversation between he and Mira. I hope Tower of Joy won't be all we see of him.
Yeah, I hope so. I think he's definitely going to show up in the books. We've heard that from the author, and I think he kind of has to show up in the show. If kind of going back to the other question, there's some kind of question about, who has a claim on the throne. Jon's will be stronger than Dany's now. He is the son of Rhaegar the Prince.
Yeah.
And that's her brother, so he has a stronger claim. So if something like that comes into it, them finding that he's the one that's got to vouch for Jon. Irregardless if he wants the throne or not, whatever the importance of that's going to be as far as his role in the War for the Dawn or in the political arena where he may be a ruler or something, he's got to vouch for him, because some kid comes up and says, I had a dream that, your father was Rhaegar and Lyanna was your mom.
Yeah.
How many people still believe in all that shit? Except for the people close to the wall that realize what the hell's really going on up north of the wall, like the Night's Watch. They would believe that, but the rest of the realm, no.
What about that old lady that read him stories when he was laying in bed?
Old Nan? Yeah.
Is she around?
No, she's gone.
Everybody, she would believe it.
When they burn, yeah, she would. She would. The old northern folk, sure.
Okay.
But when Winterfell got burned, she's part of the casualties of that.
I hate that. I liked her.
Oh yeah, and everything old Nan said was absolutely true.
Right.
So I wish they would have tied that in. As a matter of fact, speaking of her and her stories, I wish they'd have gave us a little more hints on who the first Night King was in the show, because it's implied by old Nan that he was a Stark, perhaps Brandon the Builder. So I think there's a relation there. We did have the Jon Snow Come At Me Crow showdown look between Jon Snow and him in episode 8 Hardhome of season 5. So that kind of was a little odd thing, like kind of like maybe he recognized him or felt that he was kin to him in some way or something.
Well, he looked at Bran too,
and yeah,
when Bran was in a vision,
and he just grabbed his arm. Can he do that to anybody else?
Maybe they're related.
Something with that Stark blood, which has got that Children of the Forest blood in it, like I said in the video before. So,
well, this question comes from somebody who must just like your channel for other reasons besides Game of Thrones. Okay. He's asking you. This is Chaz Harris. He says Q&A. Which show do you think is better, Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead?
Oh man, Game of Thrones. I'd have to say Game of Thrones. I love The Walking Dead, but once I started watching Thrones, it just took the cake.
Yeah,
because it's got everything. I love apocalyptic stuff like Walking Dead, and I like the idea that it's not about zombies only. It's about The Walking Dead are the people. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what I love about it, and the character development is really deep and good source material, obviously. But Game of Thrones just takes the cake. Because for me, it's like everything that I enjoy about fantasy and the world of fantasy, but it's not overdone.
I was getting ready to say without too much.
Without too much magic and all that. Like
that's what I was afraid of the whole time, Chris. Right. When you were trying to get me into it, I was afraid it was going to be overdone.
Right. And that's kind of a Lord of the Rings thing, right? Everything's magic. You know, you got elves running around and all that stuff. And in Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire, it's just enough. It's a good balance of real life, real kind of political intrigue in the medieval days with that kind of setting, but just enough magic. And they tell us right up front, though, that's what it's about, that's what's coming, but people like push that off. But that's the very first scene was White Walkers and magical beings. And then for 3 or 4 or 5 seasons, it was all about who's backstabbing who. Man. You know, so there's just enough. So for me, that takes the cake.
But we will be getting back into your Walking Dead
We'll
videos,
be getting back
correct?
into The Walking Dead for sure. Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So look out for that, Chaz. Because evidently you're a fan too for asking. So let's see here.
We'll be doing weekly videos on that as well.
Here's another tough question. Joey Hallman asks, Q&A, who's going to kill the Sir Robert the Strong?
Man, it might take a damn dragon.
It really might.
Because I think it's implied that he's actually stronger now that he's been reanimated. So can the mountain, you know, if his brother happens to pass through there and there ends up being a Clegane Bowl, can he do it? Is it going to take a group of people? I don't know.
His head can be separated with a sword
that's
from his body.
That's right.
But how?
You're talking about a 7 foot something tall guy who's got, you know, superhuman strength basically in armor. Mm-hmm. And we saw Homeboy go with a damn 4-spike club.
Oh, that's right.
And just stuck in. He was like,
that's right.
You know, Predator style. So, man, I don't know. I like the idea that our friend Ho said that Tyrion needs to fight him.
Oh, God.
The shortest man in the story versus the biggest motherfucker in the story. That would be a damn fight to see.
That would be.
Because Tyrion could come out with his little axe, right? You know, he gets Pod to put on some armor. And he comes running behind him and cuts his damn leg in half, you know, like he did the guy in Blackwater.
Oh, he'll find out he's got an Achilles heel or something.
That's right. But the Red Viper had him, man. He had him down and killed and dead and whipped his ass, and he had to talk shit. Damn it. Damn it, Oberyn Martell. And you haven't seen that yet, but you will. Man, he had him.
Well, all I know right now is he's got that chick on that massage table. What's he doing with her?
It's a full body massage. It's probably paid for.
Cersei tipped him well.
It's probably a 3 or 4 hour massage or something like that. And normally it's about an hour, I guess. But
I can't wait to see.
I mean, he took his helmet off, so he's getting comfortable, right?
He is. He's gonna be there for a while.
I bet we'll see like probably just that table there with some remains. Probably go in that room there and just see some goo laying on the fucking table.
Well, this kind of, what you said kind of bleeds into this question. This is from W. John Hoseman. And in parentheses it says, Ho. Q&A.
Our boy Ho.
Why won't James read any questions from his closest friends? Does a friend card need to be played? LOL. Also, I hate those Carolina shirts. Go Tyronicus.
Oh, God. I try, man, Ho needs to start a channel.
He does.
He needs to start a channel and do reviews on Game of Thrones with his names.
What does he call?
He calls Tyrion Tyronicus.
Yeah.
I think 1-1 is Fred.
Greg.
Greg. 1-1 is Greg.
Is this Bear Hammer or something?
Yeah,
like
this is not Longclaw to Hoe. This is Bear Hammer.
Wolfhammer.
Wolf Hammer.
No, yes, Wolf Hammer. This is Wolf Hammer to Hoe, not Longclaw. So yeah, I mean those names are hilarious. He just go. He calls actually Game of Thrones, the show itself. He calls it The Adventures of Tyronicus.
And Tyronicus is Tyrion?
Yes, apparently.
I love it. Okay, Chris, I'm not going to put a clip up for this one because there were so many people who asked this, and I didn't want anybody to feel slighted. But a lot of people want to know your opinion on where's Ghost.
I don't know. They said that in the Battle of the Bastards episode 9 that it was basically came down to 1-1 or Ghost. They went way over in their budget, and apparently it came down to either we got to have 1-1 in the shot or Ghost. So, I mean, you just have to assume, like in the books or something, he's off hunting. It's just really up to us to kind of imagine where, or they could have had a little simple shot where at least he said, even without seeing Ghost, go stay with Sansa.
Yeah.
Or guard Sansa, or stay, or something.
Kind of like what we talked about in the last one. A direwolf in that battle, would have been in a rough spot. He'd have
been dead. So I would, like I said before, I would just rather assume, or just leave it to my imagination that he's just off hunting, or Jon told him to stay somewhere, maybe locked him up for to keep him from the battle, because he wants to be there to protect Jon, and see him know he's alive, then have him in that battle, and then just another direwolf dies.
And this question is my own personal question. Do you think that all of the Mad King's cache of Wildfire is gone now?
No.
No? He had more than that?
It was buried actually all over the city except for the Sept of Baelor in the books.
Okay.
So there's still plenty more, and I still think King's Landing is going to burn as a whole.
God.
The Red Keep included. So I don't think that's over by far. And it may be, at that point, because we see that they're setting up Dany coming over as the queen, the rightful queen in her eyes. Cersei's now been crowned queen of the Seven Kingdoms, although there's really nobody to support her. But they're setting up the showdown between Dany and Cersei. Dragons get there, and all it takes is one shot of fire to the wrong spot, and it could be a dragon setting it off. Cersei may have more made to rule in fear, So, yeah, I think there's that was the idea in the books, at least. It was actually stated that they had the original cache from the Sept of Baelor removed, but they couldn't find the other stashes.
Sweet daddy.
So there's still plenty there.
Good.
And of course, she knows Pyromancers can have more made if she wants to.
Because, my opinion, when they break down that wall, we'll need it. There's only 3 dragons.
That's right. Yeah, and that depends on how the whites work. There's not a lot of White Walkers themselves, apparently. We've only seen 13 in the show.
Okay.
3 have died, and the 14th would have been Craster's son that was turned. So assuming he's grown up now, or however that works. So there's not that many White Walkers, at least, that we've seen in the show, but do the whites, that's the real threat, if you think about it. There's hundreds of thousands of just zombies. So if you kill the Night King or all the White Walkers, do they just drop dead in their place? We don't know.
It seems like they would.
It seems like they would, but then again, of course, the children are dead. We're assuming that all the children of the forest are wiped out.
Right.
So Cold Hands, Benjen's still alive. Yeah. So the Dragon Glass is keeping him going as a dead person fighting on the side of the living. It didn't let him turn to a white. He still is essentially Benjen, but dead Benjen.
Wow.
So if he didn't just drop dead after the children died, their magic's still there. So we could still have whites roaming around even after White Walkers are killed, if they ever are killed. So we just don't know.
Well, I know you have a couple things you want to say since this is the last one. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to pass it over to you. This question comes from Arya16.
All right.
She says, SmokeScreen, can we see you without a hat next video? LOL, do you have hair?
I do have hair. Yes, I have hair. I'll do a a hair reveal in a later video.
That's something to look forward to. There you go.
Yeah, I've had a lot of questions.
We'll have a build up to it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of questions recently about that, and honestly, I didn't plan any. I actually never wear a hat very often unless my hair's just fucked up. So it just kind of happened the first time I made a video. I just threw a hat on because I just got out of the shower or something. So that's how it started, and I just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And so now there's been a lot of questions, at least recently, about is he bald?
No, he's not bald.
I'm not bald.
I'm the bald one.
What color is it? Maybe I got some weird color under here. So we'll just keep it a mystery. This is my Clark Kent disguise.
Well, man, it's been such a pleasure for me. And
yeah, these are always fun to do. I enjoy these.
I look forward to us doing this on the off season. We got to come up with a couple things. I know your people gave you a lot of cool ideas.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say was, we'll keep the videos coming. We'll keep doing Q&As every Sunday. We'll just replace Game of Thrones.
Man, yeah.
Because we can talk about anything regarding the show or the books as far as Q&As continually until the next season comes on and keep them going.
Can't.
So there's no reason to stop that. So we'll replace Game of Thrones for you guys on Sundays.
Awesome.
And I will be doing some other videos you guys suggested, some history videos. We got suggestions for, speculation for season 7. I'll definitely be doing predictions for those anyway, just like me and Val did last year or before this season, as we get a little closer to that. But some history stuff, some speculation, some filming news maybe. A lot of people like leaks and spoilers. In a few weeks they'll start filming, so we'll start hearing who's on set where, and that'll kind of give us an idea of what's coming. So. And just to throw this in here, speaking of like history videos and stuff, I actually have in the off season before season 6 started, I have some videos out now that you can check out, which are Bloodraven Part 1 and 2. We talk about Bloodraven a lot this season, who he was before he became Bloodraven, Three-Eyed Crow, or the Three-Eyed Raven, whichever one you go by.
No, what was his name?
Brendan. Yes,
yeah.
Brendan Rivers, a.k.a.
close.
Bloodraven, a.k.a. the Three-Eyed Crow, a.k.a. the Three-Eyed Raven, which whether you're watching the show or reading the books. So 2 videos on that, so 2-parter on that's already out. I did an actual little video about magic in Westeros and kind of speculation on why it went away and why it's coming back. Like the dragons are a part of that. They're not the cause of magic, they're a result of it, but they do seem to enhance it. There's also a video I did about prophecy. That's a big question. We see things coming true, but is it really prophecy like we talked about before a little bit? Is it self-fulfilling, or how does that actually work? And in the books, that's actually a lot more in depth. There's a lot more prophetic characters. We have Patchface, we have Woods Witches, we have the Ghost of High Heart, several characters that are cut from the show completely. And the things they say come true. They foresee future events like the Red Wedding and the death of Balon Greyjoy, for example. So a lot of that stuff out there as well. So I talk about a little bit about prophecy and what that really means in this world. So yeah, check those videos out, and I'll go ahead and put those links in the description below as well. And real quickly before we get out of here, I want to thank my patrons on Patreon. Really appreciate the support, you guys. So yeah, special shout out to Mark Joseph, aka the Snow in Winterfell, Lala Gig, Jessica McWhorter, Annie Smith, Chris G, Joe Gaylord, Kisa Powell, Kat, Lawrence Fransick, Darren Resinger, Kirtan Pushpindra, Red River Giant, Demetrius, Tamika, Joanne Long, Viga Barkley, Nizar Rajay, Anita Frost Lindenblad, Jennifer Walter, James Gentleman, Alec, Just Being Nosy, Jamal, Sean Shiflett, Crawdad CT, Taylor Royal, Jose Calvo, Ali C, Lisa Nicole Hayden, Cecilia Lenny, Brianna Fisher, Daniel Ketchman, Rick, MC, Dolly, Sofaloaf, Darlene Llewellyn, Michelle Everly, and Ashley Shaw. So thanks a lot, you guys. Really appreciate the support. Keep your questions coming as well. We'll be back next Sunday for another Q&A. We'll keep these going all throughout the off season as well. And in the meantime, look for some other videos. I got some ideas of my own as well as all your suggestions. So thank you for that. So thanks for watching, you guys, and we'll see you next time. Oh shit, let me try this Wildfire.